Are we ready to start the festivities and head into our play-in games?
Hmm.
Alrighty, so again, we're going to be doing this in rounded systems. So today's show, we're going to be doing Ben-Hur versus the Lion King. So we have the Chariot Chase of Ben-Hur versus the Lion King as our first matchup in this tournament. Opening thoughts. Do you want to do it scene by scene in comparison, or just kind of go through what we like? How do we
I
want to do this?
I would just do it scene by scene.
Yeah.
So Ben Hur first.
Yeah.
That's how I took notes.
Ben-Hur, 1959, directed by William Wyler, by the way.
Yep.
Um,
Also another Oscar juggernaut.
yeah.
11 awards.
It's odd that all three of the 11 award winners made it, to me.
Yeah, they all have at least one scene. Yeah,
Uh,
that
so,
are like standouts.
so it's interesting. Here with Ben-Hur, you have this huge, grand spectacle, a lot of pomp and circumstance to start the scene. If you
Hmm.
are watching with the link that we've provided for you, it's a 16-minute clip. If you're actually talking about the action, skip to the 6-minute mark because it's just long.
Yeah, it's probably about 9 minutes of action.
Yeah, it's a long sequence that's pretty continuous. I did notice the odd Nazi salute was in there. I know it's not a Nazi salute, but it's in
Well,
there, and I
the
was like,
Nazis took it from
yes,
the Romans. Yes.
yes, I do know that. But it was just like one of those where since this came out in '59, I'm like, you're only 15 years removed from them. I would have just not even put it in.
No, I know. Whenever I watch like the old movies, because there's a lot of like old sword and sandal movies
Yeah,
that are Oscar nominated, and there's always that like the Roman eagle, and every time I see it, I always think of Nazis. Now I'm like, they really tainted that
they ruined everything.
That Roman signal.
Nazis ruined so much, man.
I know.
Uh, I love the visual storytelling pieces throughout this entire sequence. The I love the detail of even we're obviously focused on two riders for the most part. We got Heston
Yeah.
and who is playing that bad guy character that's constantly
Um,
whipping his fucking horses again.
I can't remember the actor's name, but the character's name is Masala.
So we have Masala taking on Charlton Heston's
Yeah,
protagonist here.
Ben-Hur.
And I love the detailing of Ben-Hur having the white horses versus Masala having the black
Yeah.
horses. Very
Classic.
easy visual
Yeah.
storytelling there that is influenced so many things. Uh, what's cool is you get a chase sequence while also getting minor fight sequences interlaced into it as well. And some of the camera work on this is so fucking incredible.
Yeah.
To where I go,
I,
how the fuck did they get that shot in 1957, 58 when they were filming this movie?
so I was doing a lot of research about the shooting of it, and originally I accidentally clicked on the 1926 movie because there's a 1926 version of this movie, and even the 1926 version was the most expensive scene ever filmed.
Huh.
So like they had the 1926 version, they had 42 cameras separately filming their scene.
Jesus
They had,
Christ.
and they had at the time 42 professional cinematographers just working their cameras.
What an expensive scene, dude.
Yeah, so then like and then they do a remake of the movie and it's the most expensive movie ever made at the time. Um and yeah, so the research 5 months of shooting, obviously off and on doing it. Um $1 million for the set, building the set. Took a year to make, and
It's a
then it
huge
was
set. It's a huge
the
set.
largest set ever built at the time.
Holy shit.
So yeah, it's fucking impressive.
So the thing is this. Here's what I think is most impressive. Obviously, the cinematography is beautiful within the chase
Yeah,
scenes as well. That's incredible stuff. And the storytelling elements, like they were smart enough to put the counters in for the laps, things of that nature. And when they're doing the turn, they all look so similar. I don't know if it's the same shot every time or if they actually did change it, and it's just so
I
similar every
I
time.
don't think so because what they did to actually film it was they had on the outer track part,
Yeah,
they actually had a car go around with the actual chariots.
yeah.
At first, they had, I think it was, I can't remember where it was filmed. I don't know if it was actually Italy or not, but they had an Italian car, I think it was, and it was like too slow. So they had to ship in and import an American car that could actually have the muscle, you know?
USA, USA.
So yeah, they had a car that would ride along with the chariots and stuff. So
Just fucking
yeah,
hilarious that you have like shit like Ferrari coming out of Italy, and then you're
yeah. I
just.
don't know if they want that kind of car on there.
Meanwhile, in America, they're like, nah, muscle, speed, and you compare an Italian car, like an Alfa Romeo or something, to an American car now, and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? But I
Yeah,
love that was the
but
detail there.
they're riding on dirt though.
Yeah,
Ferraris aren't built for dirt.
no, they're not. I get it. Uh, so again, the visual representation here is so impressive. The one thing, and the stunt work again is incredible. The fact that
Okay,
that
so
guy should be dead.
so there's a common myth that one of the stuntmen died, which is like a long held belief, but that apparently that's a myth.
Yeah,
But I got to talk about the dummies in this fucking scene.
yeah.
It is the best dummy work I have ever seen.
It is pretty
Honestly,
impressive, honestly. Yeah.
like first off, they do a really good job with the editing to hide the
Yeah.
fact that they're dummies.
Yes.
Because there are times where they look like real people.
Yeah.
They look like, oh yeah, those look like people just getting fucking stomped on by
Oh.
those
Oh yeah.
horses. And then I compare it to like movies like, okay, The Fugitive. You know you know the scene in The Fugitive, the famous scene
Oh, of course. Yeah.
with like the I don't care, the Tommy Lee
I
Jones.
don't care. Yes.
Yeah, that has the worst dummy shot ever. Like it is terrible. Where he's like falling down the waterfall. It is the most obvious dummy of all time.
Yes.
And then you compare it to these dummies, they look so fucking good. I'm like, what happened in those 40 years? Like, honestly, what happened? It's incredible.
So, again, I think everything is so impressive in this scene. Here's what I did have an issue with. If I'm going to point out negatives as a competition. Logically, the fact that Masala is alive at the end of this scene and everyone else is dead is fucked. That's so dumb.
Oh, sure.
That's a logic twist I don't like. But the thing that actually strikes me the most, during the actual race itself, there is no music.
No, I took note of that as well. That was one of my big gripes about it.
It's
My
so trying to put you in the moment with the racer, and it sticks on the camera work during the race itself is so impressive, but it always focuses solely on the racer, and you don't get many crowd shots to let you breathe for a second and to get a semblance of time being changed. That's the one where I was like, okay, this what they're showing me is so impressive, but I think a couple cuts back showing
yes.
some more stuff I think would be really
My
helpful.
yeah, and my other obvious gripe about it is how exciting can you make an oval? You know? Like
Yes,
they're making left turns the entire time. It's like NASCAR. Like how exciting can you really make it?
correct. It's one of those where, and it's the way they shoot it, because even look at something like Days of Thunder or Talladega Nights. They make NASCAR look really fun and impressive.
Mm,
But again, it's the challenge of the end of the day, it's just something going around an oval.
it, and it depends on the length of the scene as well. So
Correct.
that's why I think this scene's a little too long.
Yeah.
Because had it been like 7 minutes, maybe,
Even
I think that'd
six.
be
I think six would be
perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I actually liked it more this time around because I only watched this scene, not the whole movie, obviously.
Yeah.
I was not about to watch another 3 hour. I think it's like 3 hours and 10 minutes, if I remember right. It's been a while. I've seen this movie 4 or 5 times, I think,
Yeah.
because I rewatch the Best Picture winners often,
Yes. Yes, you
because
do.
I'm a fucking freak.
Well, it's because you're a resident Oscar expert. Someone needs to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Someone's got to bring up John Wick scenes for this tournament, and someone's got to be the Oscar
yeah.
expert. And we know which one's going to be which.
Actually, Ben-Hur also has a really great action sequence where there's like a ramming of two ships,
Yeah.
and that is also a really great action sequence that never gets mentioned for some reason.
Because the chariot chase is just as good as
Yeah.
it is.
Um, but yeah, this it actually was more enjoyable this time around. Um, but yeah, those were my two big gripes about it. Was this time around I was like, oh yeah, there is no music actually,
I think that takes away from it a lot.
and
And
it's a
then,
little too long.
so then we go and pair it. By the way, we're completely blasting the time that we said, when I don't really care because
Oh
this is good. This is
yeah,
good, enjoyable stuff. So maybe we won't have a time limit unless it gets really bad
yeah.
or some stuff. We're now going to 1994's The Lion King. It's the wildebeest stampede chase, and to give credit, Lion King directed by Rob Minkoff and Roger Allers. Here, what I found so impressive, obviously the use of CGI for hand-drawn animation. This was a perfect blend. To me, this is no different than Beauty and the Beast, or the other great movies of the early Renaissance in which they used the tools that they had seamlessly to create something of a visual spectacle that you would never see like that, which I really, really appreciated. When they're showing all those wildebeests coming through, that's impossible to hand animate unless you're just going to spend years drawing. And the fact that they used it perfectly with hand-drawn animation, glorious. Loved all of that.
Yeah, that's in the early 90s where those movies did take like 3 or 4 years to make.
I mean, that sequence
So
alone, if you just hand drew that sequence by itself, that is legitimately a year plus of time of just that 3 to 4 minute clip.
yeah,
And that's not doable, obviously, in a movie making world. It's just not how things work. What I loved is you immediately understand the danger. There is anticipation to what's going to happen, and you know something bad's going to happen. Because again, I just watched the scene. I didn't go back and watch The Lion King. I haven't seen The Lion King in 20-ish plus years. I haven't watched it since I was a child.
You should rewatch it. It's
And,
great.
oh, well, I was very impressed by this scene, so I might. But I love
Did
this.
you watch it? Did it end at the action? Or when did the scene end?
The scene ends with Simba screaming. By the way, we should say there's going to be spoilers on these, but like,
Oh, okay. Because I was going to talk about the aftermath of this scene.
that's
Because
fine.
I think it's the most powerful part of the movie.
So, and that's okay.
Okay.
Just the stampede itself with the buildup is 4 minutes long, and it feels like that. This flies by. The music impresses danger upon the viewer immediately. This is some of Hans Zimmer's best work. It's incredible.
Yeah. And no one talks about that. Hans Zimmer did the score for this movie. And I actually think this is. I mean, it's hard to say. I would put it in his top 3.
Interesting. His work with Nolan's just so impressive that for me. Plus he's got pirates. Plus he's got other stuff on there. Like
I would put it. It's either this or Gladiator for me.
I mean, to me, it's always going to come down to The Dark Knight. So actually, his Interstellar work is incredible. So it might be Interstellar. But
I think Interstellar only has that one sequence that is like amazing.
We'll get to Interstellar when we actually get to the bracket. We shouldn't be doing this, but
I'm just saying the Lion King has like the entire score. When you actually rewatch it, is amazing. The entire thing.
So the music used in this is perfect. The fact that you're getting to care about cartoon characters like this, like when you actually break it down, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But they make these characters so personable and have so many good human traits to it that you believe and you want to buy in. And you really understand this from a familial, I want to care for this person angle, that the stakes are raised. That is the one thing I will say that I think it's far superior in, besides musical work, because obviously the Chariot doesn't have any musical work,
Hmm.
is if you even just watch this scene and you don't know the rest of the movie, you just know this scene, you still understand the relationships there between multiple
Oh,
characters,
yeah.
and you care more, and the stakes are there more than the Chariot race in Ben-Hur. That's where I think it clearly has an above
Well,
in terms of the scene itself. I'm not saying necessarily the
oh,
movie, but
sure. I think I, I think that's because it's for kids,
sure,
honestly. So
sure.
they do need to make it a little bit more obvious.
Yes,
You
but
know,
at the
like
same time,
when you look at Scar, like he is obviously the
the villain.
villain.
It's no different than when you're watching Phantom Menace the first time you see Darth Maul and you're like,
Yeah.
has there ever been something so obviously drawn to be the villain?
Yes.
Yes, they're like how everything's light and bright, and then Scar's like dark orange and black
Yeah.
hair, has a scar, and you're like, wonder who's the villain
I
here,
mean,
guys.
I will say like in terms of like a specific shot, the shot where he like digs his claws in
Yeah,
and then he says long live the king, like and it goes all dark around him and his eyes just glow. I mean, that's beautiful animation. I love that kind of
I
stuff.
mean that's beautiful filmmaking, and that's just not even beautiful animation because that's taking great filmmaking principles and applying them to animation. That's when animation is its best. In a lot of modern animation, they've gone away from great filmmaking techniques, which is why they don't, not as many of the animated features, because we're getting so many of them now, feel like we're being inundated with schlock. It's not because it's
Well,
inherently bad. They're getting away from traditional principles that make it great.
I think they go to what I would say is they go too realistic with it. Like they don't
Sometimes, yeah,
because like that's not realistic to just all of a sudden go completely dark around everything.
yeah,
Like it's not realistic to have that lighting all of a sudden.
yeah. Sometimes just play with it, have some fun with it.
Yeah, it's just cool. Like it's just fun to do that. So yeah, my two big standouts of this scene were the score and the sound design. Because the sound of the wildebeest coming in through that valley sounds
I
amazing.
love that animation of the rocks fluttering. That's
Oh,
that's
yep, yep.
incredible, incredible work. Because just and the whole time you're like, oh shit just got real, and I love that.
Yeah, and then I mean, you got James Earl Jones, Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons is a great choice to play just like a slime ball.
Oh, of course, got JTT in there.
And then yeah, yeah, young. Is this before he did anything?
No,
I don't know what he.
this is mid Home Improvement.
Oh, Home Improvement. That's right. I
This
forgot he
is
was on that.
this is right after or right before his WrestleMania appearance. I want to say.
God.
No, he was like a special ring announcer, bell keeper, or something like that. It's not like he actually
Oh,
wrestled.
okay.
But this is when they
I
would
thought
just
he went
bring
in the
in
ring.
no. Like he was in the ring to essentially I think ring announce or be the guest timekeeper or something. But it was just
Oh,
like
okay.
anytime they could get a celebrity because this is also the down period of WWE. So it was just like any celebrity that wanted to be involved, they're like, "Come
Okay.
on in, we'll take you."
I thought he was gonna like do the 619 or something.
No, that was not.
Is that what it's called? 619?
Yeah, Rey Mysterio's finishing move.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
that's what I
course.
thought. I That was a total guess though.
Oh, please, you know plenty of
I
wrestling because of me.
No, I only like half remember some of them.
Yeah,
Like 619, People's Elbow.
yeah.
Oh, what's Kurt Angle's
The Olympic Slam and the ankle lock.
ankle lock? That's the one I was trying to remember.
Yeah, the ankle lock's great.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we have to me this competition feels like an ankle lock because you have two. The only thing similar about these two is giant movement in direction, spectacle. That's it. Everything else about these two scenes is incredibly
Yes.
different. That's where
Yeah.
the challenge of this tournament comes in. Is what do you value?
Yeah. And then the only thing I'll say about The Lion King is the aftermath of the stampede is like crushing, like soul crushing.
when he
It is
has
awful.
when he has to go to Mufasa's dead body.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it hurts so much. It, it's like the most painful part of the movie, but it's such, yeah. What you if you rewatch it, you'll
Well,
see.
the thing is, this the second you said the aftermath, I was like, yeah, I do know that scene. The pain in all of the actors' voices here, or even Scar. It's the pain of like realizing uh, a goal when he has the claws in him. He's like, "Long live the king." There's still that resonance in his voice to be like, "Oh, this is impactful." So I'm not saying like the character's in pain; he's getting what he wants, but there's still that resonance to his voice and in the performance in it, where you're like, "Ah, this is hugely impactful." And then to get Simba having to go to Mufasa's body,
Mm.
brutal, brutal.
Um,
I will say that in terms of caring about characters, to me, it's far and away the Lion King is the better option because
yes,
of the facials, the panic, the fear, adrenaline to everything, where you get so much emotion in such a quick burst.
yes. I do think there is some disconnect with older movies
Yes.
because this is actually something that I really found watching these older movies where I watch the Best Picture nominees is like there'll be an actor that's like in tons of movies, like Burt Lancaster.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of them. And like at the beginning of my journey, I was like, I don't really like him. And then like halfway through, I was like, actually, you know what? I actually really like him. And then the more and more I watch him, the more I like him. So all of a sudden, I'm connecting with him more in the movies that I see him in
Okay.
later on. I'm like, oh, I like these movies more now. And then I think of those earlier ones. I'm like, oh, maybe I actually would like those more now.
Huh. Okay.
So like, when you get to see a face more, you connect with it more.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Whereas like with animation, you can connect with an animated face pretty easily,
Yeah.
having seen it once. So I think that is part of it. Um, my biggest problem with the Lion King scene is obviously just like the tangibility of it. You know,
Yeah.
like with Ben Hur, there's obviously tangibility of like you see someone get trampled and you're like, oh yeah, that would fucking suck.
Yes. Very much. So. That's fucking brutal. Yeah. Uh,
Is there a way you're leaning? Because I have a way I'm leaning.
which way are you leaning? I probably am the
My
polar opposite.
I'm leaning Ben Hur.
I'm leaning Lion King. I think it's because to me, action is most impressive with stakes. And watching just scene for scene, and I know I've seen The Lion King, but it's not as though I've seen The Lion King very recently.
Hmm.
When you can pour the stakes, the emotionality into it, and make people care about the impact of what happens, that to me is what the success is
Okay.
of a
Actually,
scene.
I think I have a way of doing this if we're split.
Yeah.
If you have to split it in a in in 10, so you have to split this in points of 10. How would you split it? So I would say Ben Hur gets 7 points out of my 10 and Lion King gets 3.
Huh.
How would you
Okay.
how would you split it?
6-4, Lion King, Ben Hur, probably. I would, so which
So,
means then Ben Hur would take it.
yes. So is that what we want to say?
Yeah, I think Ben Hur was going to take it in general, but the one I connect with more is the Lion King. But the visual of Ben Hur is so
Yes.
impressive.
I would say I would agree with that. I actually do connect more with the Lion King one. And I actually am glad that you liked it more
Yeah.
because
Because I was very
really,
skeptical about it. Yeah.
yeah, I was really fighting for it to be in here because I was like, hey, animation can be really great action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think Ben-Hur deserves to be moved on though.
And it's taking on a juggernaut of what
Oh yeah,
I've
not going further. Let's be honest.
well, it's taking on what I have considered to be the most intense sequence I've ever seen in a theater because of the music.
I won't go that
involved.
far, but I will say it's one of the most.
It's just when you have surround sound in a theater and you're playing Hans Zimmer during Interstellar. Holy fuck, is it an experience. So, Ben-Hur, congratulations. You are moving on in our first matchup in this tournament. You have made it to the round of 64. Congratulations, you are playing the number 1 seed of Interstellar. So, we're going to say Ben-Hur takes the win here.